For almost all of human history, our story was simple and comforting. We lived at the center of everything. The earth was a fixed, immovable stage, and the sun, the moon, and the stars were celestial lanterns hung in the heavens just for us, performing an eternal divine ballet around our home. This wasn't just an astronomical model. It was the foundation of our philosophy, our religion, and our very identity. Then, a few brave minds dared to look up, and in doing so, they lit a fuse on that comfortable reality. This is the story of the scientific revolution, a revolution not of armies, but of ideas. It is the story of how a forbidden book, a homemade telescope, and a falling apple dethroned humanity from its self-appointed place at the center of creation, and in doing so, gave birth to the modern world. The medieval universe was a masterpiece of order and purpose, based on the ideas of Aristotle and Ptolemy, and sanctified by the Church. It was a cosmos of concentric crystal spheres. The Earth was at the heart, and around it revolved the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Beyond them lay the sphere of the fixed stars, and finally the empyrean heaven, the dwelling place of God. Everything had its place. Everything had its purpose. Humanity was the focus of God's creation, the central drama for which the entire universe was the stage. To question this model was not just to question science. It was to question God, the social order, and the very meaning of human existence. It was heresy. The first crack in this perfect celestial crystal appeared not with a bang, but with the quiet work of a Polish church official and astronomer, Nicolaus Copernicus. For decades, he struggled with the complexities of the Ptolemaic model. To make it work, it required messy, inelegant epicycles, loops within loops. Copernicus discovered that if he made one radical, terrifying change, if he placed the sun at the center and sent the Earth spinning around it, the math became simpler, more elegant, more beautiful. He knew the implications were explosive. For years, he hesitated, fearing ridicule and persecution. He published his work on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres only on his deathbed in 1543. It was a silent earthquake, its tremors felt only by a few, but the ground had been broken. If Copernicus provided the theory, it was the Italian firebrand Galileo Galilei who provided the proof. In 1609, hearing of a new Dutch invention, he built his own telescope, a device far more powerful, and pointed it at the heavens. What he saw shattered the old world forever. He saw that the moon was not a perfect ethereal orb, but was covered in mountains and craters, just like Earth. He saw that Jupiter had its own moons orbiting it, not the Earth. And he saw that Venus went through phases, just like our moon, something that could only happen if Venus orbited the Sun. He published his findings in a pamphlet called The Starry Messenger. It was a bestseller. The evidence was undeniable, and the Church saw the threat. In 1633, Galileo was brought before the Inquisition. Under threat of torture, the old man was forced to recant, to publicly deny the truth he had seen with his own eyes. Legend says that as he rose, he muttered defiantly, "And yet it moves." The revolution needed its lawgiver. That man was Isaac Newton. A reclusive and brilliant genius, Newton brought heaven and earth together under a single universal set of rules. The famous story of the apple may be a myth, but its meaning is profound. Newton realized that the same force that pulled the apple to the ground was the very same force that held the moon in orbit around the Earth, and the Earth in orbit around the Sun. It was universal gravitation. In his masterwork, the Principia, published in 1687, he laid out his 3 laws of motion and the law of universal gravitation. Suddenly, the universe was no longer a place of divine whim and mystery. It was a vast, elegant, predictable machine, a grand clockwork governed by mathematical laws that the human mind could comprehend. God was now the divine clockmaker, and humanity had discovered the instruction manual. This is the fulcrum. The scientific revolution did more than just change our maps of the sky. It changed our map of reality. It gave birth to the scientific method, a new way of knowing, based not on ancient authority or faith, but on observation, experimentation, and reason. This new confidence in human reason ignited the Age of Enlightenment, a movement that applied scientific principles to society, government, and human rights, leading directly to the American and French revolutions. It created the technological explosion that led to the Industrial Revolution and continues to shape our world today. Every smartphone, every satellite, every medical breakthrough is a direct descendant of this profound shift in thinking. The scientific revolution was a humbling experience. It took humanity from the center of the universe and placed us on a small, rocky planet orbiting an average star in a forgotten corner of an ordinary galaxy. We lost our privileged position. But in losing our throne, we gained something far greater: the cosmos. We discovered a universe far vaster, more ancient, and more magnificent than we had ever dared to imagine. And we discovered the power of our own minds to understand it. We learned that the most profound truths are not handed down, but are waiting to be discovered. The universe, it turns out, is not a story written about us. It is a mystery we are just beginning to solve.